question.
I would. First, the board does set the vision and the goals for the district. They adopt the policies, and they also give the district the direction in the way it should go. Again, they do hire and evaluate the superintendent and the treasurer, and they oversee the annual budget. And they manage the collective bargaining, the union. So they have many, many duties. Although the superintendent takes care of the daily activities of the school, it is the board's responsibility to hold the district accountable for all results of the district. So we do hold separate roles, but our main job, we're holding the people accountable that we have put in place to drive the district. So that is the difference in the Board of Education and the superintendent's responsibility.
Thank you. Now, I'm not from here, so I hope your answers enlighten me about this series of questions. I'm going to ask Mr. Mesnick first. What do you think is the best use of the old Channel property? Chanel? Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, really come across on that one. I worked hard to save Chanel. First of all, Chanel, we bought that property for a very specific reason, was in order to be able to have a central campus. There's 33 acres there. The building is there, in my opinion, is solid. And it could be sold off or whatever, which would make it a lot better. Right now, it has been scheduled for demolition. I don't agree with that. But the fact of the matter is that that's what's going to happen. What's best for that property, we're really looking at in the future and being able to move some of our older buildings. For example, if you look at Central, it was being built right around the turn of the century. And if we're going to be looking at some new elementary schools, it's a perfect location, or even for the middle school, so we have basically a central campus that's here. That was the purpose of that. What I think is a good use for Chanel, it could have been a vocational center. I think that could have been the use for that. There's a lot of reasons why I thought it should be saved.
Ms. Boynton, would you care to answer that question?
Well, I can answer the best I can. Just like most of the people in the audience, I'm only privileged to so much information when it came to the property, to the purchase of the building and the use of the building. I attend the meetings, I hear the conversation, I get 3 minutes if I want to voice my opinion about something, just like you do. I'm not privileged to the discussion because I'm not a board member. And I'm not part of the executive sessions where the discussion about the property was brought to the attention of the public. I do not know until a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, really, I still don't know what they're doing with the property. I do know that it's being demolished because that's what was discussed in the meeting. So because I don't know, I'm not going to say what I think the property should be used for, because I need to, we bought it, we have to do something with it. But I really don't know because I don't have the information, just like you don't. I do not know what was going on when that property was, the intent of that property when it was purchased. Thank you.
Ms. Patterson, would you please address that
Yes, we
question?
did buy the property, and the property is bought to have a campus over on the other side. Now, look at Warrensville, Twinsburg, Streetsboro, Maple Heights, Garfield Heights, Cleveland. They all have new schools. They all have technology in those buildings. We continue to upgrade in our buildings because our buildings are old. Continue to upgrade our buildings for the technology, and you know technology is changing every day. So if we have new schools across where Chanel is, and yes, we have to demolish the old Chanel to put new schools over there so that our students can compete with the surrounding schools with their technology and their new buildings. We all want something new. All our kids want something new.
Thank you. I'm going to ask two questions because I think they could be placed and answered fairly quickly, and they're both related to this Chanel School issue. And one of them is, do you think what is your position on building new schools at this time? And has the board, or can the board, or is this even a board decision, whether this could be put to a public vote, final disposition of the school? And I'm going to ask Ms. Patterson to answer first.
At some point, we will have to come to the public, but we didn't have to come to the public to buy the building, just like you don't have to come to us when you get ready to move somewhere else. But we will have to eventually come to the public. We had a grant from Bedford to help demolish the building. We have to put 1.4 million in. It's already in the general fund. But it was a good idea. It's still a good idea, as I stated before. Our kids need new technology. And to have new technology, we have to have new buildings so they can put that in. The fiber optics that they have now, all that has changed. It's changed. I look at Cleveland. Those kids at John Hay can sit in their classroom and see a doctor do surgery over at Cleveland Clinic. That's technology. They don't even have to go over to be in there.
Mr. Mesnick, would you like to address that question?
In order to build new buildings, I'd like to go back to the stadium. Before we did the stadium, we went out with a survey to see if people would support it. We found that 58% of the people would support building the stadium. When we put that on the ballot, it was a $12 million bond issue, which built the stadium and a lot of other things. And we put that on the ballot, it came back, 58% of the people supported it. Before you can build anything, I think you need to go out and do a survey. You need to find out what the people are thinking. Obviously, as Mrs. Boynton said, the school sets the vision as to where we're going. We bought that land so that the future school boards are going to have the resources to be able to do that. We have buildings, we've maintained them. I think they're in reasonably good shape. There's no problem with technology. We brought technology into it, and technology is changing. We used to have wires everywhere. Now we're wireless, and there's a lot of other things that are happening. So, but that has to go on the ballot before we can do anything.
Ms. Boynton, would you please answer? Or would you like to address that?
I would.
Thank you.
I do think eventually we will need new schools. The buildings are old, and I think along with technology is so important. And I know in our old buildings, and we are getting new schools in Warrensville, sometimes it just doesn't work the way it should work. And especially when everybody's using technology at the same time. So eventually. But I do want to say, I don't think this would have been such a huge issue if the board had been a little more transparent. We have to be very intentional. The Board of Education has to be very intentional about what their plans are, and they have to make them transparent to the biggest stakeholders in this district, and that's our families, our parents, the families in this community. You have to be transparent. You have to be intentional about what you plan to do. And I don't know if that has happened, because we will have to go to the stakeholders on this to build new schools.
Thank you very much. This question is directed to Ms. Boynton, but all of you will be asked a related question, or asked to this one if you choose. What specific programs from Warrensville Heights School District would you bring to Bedford to help improve Bedford's school report card?
I'm not sure of the programs that we have in the district. You have to remember, I do not have children in the Bedford City School District. And I have to say again, I usually get the same information, especially if you're not a parent, that all of you may get because I attend board meetings, 3-minute session to speak, and just hear just the glimpse of what's going on in the school district. But what I can say that I would recommend for this district is, if to our district, and I say our, and I usually allude to Bedford and Warrensville, but to the Bedford City School District, is we have to build relationships. Our children, we need to bring something within the school where the kids, where the children are engaged and where the children like coming to school. We also have to look at our staffing. We have to. We have to look at who's serving our children. We cannot have people coming into school and leaving as fast as they come in. They have to be visible, just like the board, in the community. Children have to feel loved. When they're loved, they will rise to the expectations.
Ms. Patterson, if I could twist that question a little bit, if you could do anything all by yourself, what specific programs would you bring into the school district?
Okay. Just Tuesday, I had to ask the superintendent about 3 months ago to let us go visit LeBron James' school. So it happened on Tuesday. We went in and visited the school, saw all the programs that they have. They bring the community into their building, the parents. They have GED classes in the building. They have a laundromat in the building. They have a food pantry in the building. They have college, Akron U has an office in the building. So they have all these wraparound services in the building. Mr. Kennedy in New York had the first program like that, where in Harlem, he said if your child is coming to this school, if you do not have a GED, you must attend GED classes here. He has doctors, nurses, the whole gamut, all wraparound services there.
Thank you. Mr. Mesnick, would you answer the question I asked Ms. Patterson? If you could do anything all by yourself without having to get anybody else's permission, what would you bring to Bedford School?
I would do 2 things. Number one is I would put together a vocational program. I think it's desperately needed at the school. There's kids who really fit into that program. Number two, if it was up to me, I would reduce the class sizes down to 10 to 15 kids in the class, because that's the way it's going to have to be. I'm going to tell you right now, if you've got 25 kids in a classroom, there's no way a teacher is going to be able to work with the kids who are not keeping up. If you look at this thing as a manufacturing process, you have dependent processes in manufacturing. We have that same thing in schools. If a child doesn't get a full load in September, how does he do October and November? And the fact of the matter is, when we talk about Common Core, yeah, the kids who are getting A's and B's, they're going to do well, no matter they're at Bedford City Schools or anywhere else. It's those kids who are doing C-, D's, and F's. And we've got to put together a different program for those kids. And that's what we have to. We have to slow that thing down. We've got to make sure that the program fits them, rather than for us trying to fit them into an artificial program, which is what we have now.
Thank you very much. We are very privileged to have many public officials, local representatives, visiting here tonight. When I say your name, would you please stand and be recognized? Bedford Mayor Fletcher Berger.
Bedford Heights.
Bedford Heights Mayor. Yes, indeed. I'm sorry. State Representative Juanita Brent. And Bedford Board of Education members Phil Stevens. And Rob Kennedy. Oh, okay.
Sandy Spinks and Lloyd Anderson.
Sandy Spinks, please stand. And
Lloyd Anderson, Bedford Heights, Vice Councilman.
Thank you very much. Anybody else I should recognize?
Williams here.
I'm right here. Candace Williams, Oakwood Village Council.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mesnick, this question is addressed to you, but it will be, we'll ask everybody to ask it. I have apparently last week at Walton Hill, you made a statement about why the school district is on an ID status, and you said it's because there's too much transiency, too many people live in apartments and move in and out of the school district. How do you fix that problem in terms of improving the school experience of transient students? Or how can you address that problem?
Actually, we did address it. Now, the first thing that happened, it took me about 12 years to figure out that it really wasn't a school problem, it was a community problem. We have 5,500 apartments, we have about another 1,700 rental houses. That's half our housing stock. That's why we have 3 to 4 evictions a day. The thing that we did, we started testing everybody coming into the school district. They were a year to a year and a half behind our kids. One morning I woke up and I said, we missed something. And I'll tell you what we missed, was teaching the skills of learning. This is not required by Common Core or anything else. It's really, I mean, it's as crazy as that sounds, and we really need to do that. And I'll tell you what, one of my neighbors, Jerry Willard, was doing homeschooling. I said, Jerry, how do you teach your kids to learn? He said, you know who my dad was? I said, no. He said, my dad was Dr. Willard. Dr. Willard was hired by the Department of Defense to put together an accelerated learning program for the military. I went through that when I went through OCS. We got that program, we've got that, and we put it in place. Felice Willis put that together. Every child that comes into Bedford School District now, at least it was doing this, spent about a week going through on how to learn. And that's what we have to do for those children who are mobile. We have to teach them and bring them up to the level where we are at Bedford.
Thank you. Ms. Boynton, would you like to address the question?
Sure. I do realize, and I will acknowledge that transient students in and out of the district can be challenging, and it does have a huge impact on a letter grade in a school district. But I think that if you know that that's an issue in the school district, and you have known for years that it's an issue, then we should be proactive now. We should prepare for those students. We should have interventions. We should maybe look at having a transitional grade if the children are 1 grade or 2 level below. Because my belief is this, I'm just going to say it should not matter the housing structure of the children in your district. I don't care if they live in an apartment, a trailer park, or if they're homeless. All children deserve to be educated and should be educated in the district in which they reside.
Ms. Patterson, would you like to address the issue?
With Mrs. Boynton, I don't care where you live. I don't care what your situation is. All children can learn if they have the right tools. And if they don't have those tools at home, they get them in school. When I was a teacher, if you came dirty, you came to me. I was in the gym. I made sure you got a shower, had soap. You do what you have to do. When I was in college, my professor said, if the child comes to you in the 10th grade and doesn't know how to tie a shoe, that's where you start. So that's where you start. You have clothes in the building, as I stated. Mr. LeBron James, they have clothes for those students. They have a wash and dry so they can wash. They have showers. They have everything. You have to have wraparound services today. School, as you know it and I know it, does not exist. School now has to have wraparound services.
I'm going to ask Mr. Mesnick to start this series of questions. How would you try to build or improve relationships between parents, teachers, and students?
Well, we did that with team teaching and looping, because if you think, what happens is a teacher in the old system, it had students for 1 year. That wasn't very much time. When I came up with team teaching and looping, what that did was that now the teachers had the students for 3 years. So the teachers got to know the kids, they got to know the parents, and everybody got to work together. It's critical that you have teachers, if a child is falling behind, you got to immediately get the parents, get them involved. We have an issue in Bedford, which is, I don't think unique, but 70% of our kids go home to a single mother. And the thing about it is we have a poverty issue in the school district. We have to realize that 70% of our kids are on free and reduced lunches. And the reality of it is that we have, and that's why when we talk about programs and putting together programs, I totally agree with Ms. Boynton. You have got to make sure that the programs fit the kids, and we have to do that. And that, as a school board member, that's what I'd be working on.
Ms. Patterson, can I ask you to address that?
One thing that the board has done, we have community engagement. One Saturday out of the month, Paul's Cafe on Broadway, we're there to answer any questions that you have or any complaints that you have. We write them down and we take them back to the superintendent. So that's communication between the parents. If you have a problem, and as I stated before, you call my house, I will get back to you. Find out what that problem is, bring it to the superintendent and get back to you. Parents and teachers, parents have to come to school and check on their kids. And to check on your kids now, as I stated, you do not have to even leave your house. Progress book is on your telephone. You can check to make sure that child has passed the grade, took the homework, did the homework, acted out of class by looking at your phone. Education as we know it doesn't happen. So use your telephone to check up on your students.
Ms. Boynton, would you like to address that question?
I would. I do agree that Bedford has made a step with community engagement by having that once a month meeting. That's very important. But we need to be more visible. How are we more visible? We have to go to the families. We have to go to the community centers. We have to go to our council meetings. We have to go to the community to observe or to interact with the children that we serve. You know, it's so nice when I'm out in Warrensville and I'm shopping and I see my student run, oh, Miss Boynton, hi, Miss Boynton, as if I don't have a life or if I don't shop in their neighborhood. You have to be visible to the children that you serve. And that's starting with the Board of Education, your administrative staff, your teachers. If you don't live in the community, just visit sometimes. Go to your students' game that's not part of the Bedford. Maybe the community sports that they're in. You have to be visible to the people that you serve. Don't come in so fast and leave just as fast.
Thank you very much. We're coming to an end, and I do think it's important to allow the candidates to